My name is Mary Benjamin, and welcome to my capstone presentation based on Healthy People 2030. The topic that I'll be discussing today is reducing ear infection with school hand washing and guardian support in preschool children. Some content overview before we begin. First, I'm going to introduce myself and the PA profession. Then we're going to talk about some background information on ear infections, like the pathogen that causes it and some statistics that makes it really important to have this presentation. Then we're going to do our first learning activity, and these learning activities are not only for you guys, the audience, but also for you guys to take to your children, whether it's in daycares, summer camps, or schools, and show them so they can better visualize the importance of washing their hands. Then we're going to demonstrate a how-to on washing hands. Have a second learning activity that again is for you guys, the audience, and for you to bring to your children, and then have a conclusion. So like I said, my name is Mary Benjamin, and I'm currently a student at South University, West Palm Beach Physician Assistant Program. For those who don't know what a physician assistant is, it's a growing career of advanced practice practitioners who aid physicians and play a role in a clinical team to treat, diagnose, and help patients in a wide variety of fields. You may see a PA instead of a doctor one day. The PA program is around 2 years. The first year is didactic or clinical or classroom learning. And the second year is clinical rotations, where we physically rotate in a wide variety of fields to gain experience before we graduate. But today I'm here to share a medical topic that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services have discovered is becoming a problem. There is a growing number of school absences and healthcare visits surrounding ear infections and children and the pathogen that causes it, and there's not enough solutions or education to reduce those visits. In fact, the Cleveland Clinic says ear infections is one of the most common reasons why young children go to the doctor's offices. So like I previously mentioned, this presentation is based on Healthy People 2030. And Healthy People 2030 is a government initiative to attain healthy, thriving lives and well-being, free of preventable disease, disability, injury, and premature death. So let's go ahead and watch a quick video on what Healthy People 2030 is trying to do.
Healthy People 2030 essentially is a roadmap. It's a 10-year plan that is now going on its 5th iteration. This is our 5th decade. The Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion here at the Department of Health and Human Services, which leads the Healthy People Initiative. We are looking to discuss what Healthy People is all about to begin with, but also to discuss how it's evolved over the past going on 5 decades from what its original intent was. We hope that the audiences are able to learn about the way in which Healthy People 2030 has developed, particularly how data requirements and the methods that we've applied have become more rigorous and stringent, such that the targets against the objectives of Healthy People 2030 have added value. For this decade, Healthy People 2030 features most notably a smaller set of objectives and a more refined set of objectives, frankly, based on those more rigorous data that I mentioned a minute ago. We also have new objectives that are based on some contemporary issues, such as e-cigarette use, flavored tobacco use in adolescents, of course, and unfortunately opioid use disorder. leveraging healthy people, the objectives, the resources isn't just for the medical or health professionals, that it's really about all of us, that this isn't an HHS initiative, that this isn't just even a whole of government initiative, but that it's really a whole of society initiative. So it doesn't matter whether you're a policymaker, you work in business, you work in the faith-based organizations, or in the nonprofit community, or in traditional public health sectors. All of us have a role to play in advancing the health of the nation, and therefore we all ought to be leveraging healthy people for that purpose.
So one of the objectives that they've initiated is suggesting the need of a resolution while the cases of ear infections in children continues to grow. And we need your help. Why? Because places like school, summer camps, and daycares have shown to be a risk factor in catching these pathogens. When we hear the word risk factor, it tends to scare people away, but we don't have to keep our children home and away from these places. With your help and support, we can keep these places safe for children to keep coming back to. So I chose this as my community outreach project because I believe and I'm very passionate about educating and simplifying complex subjects to younger children, and I think we can do it together. So, for some background content, ear infections are really popular in 2 to 4-year-olds, but can happen to as old as 18-year-olds. There is data that shows about half of all children will have at least one infection by the time they reach their very first birthday. The bugs, usually one called Streptococcus pneumoniae, that can cause these ear infections can spread rapidly and easily when we don't keep this in mind. And it is hard to keep this in mind when we cannot physically see these pathogens. About 20 to 60% of school-age children may transfer this microbe, whether they come to daycare or school, feeling the symptoms themselves or not. These bugs start by causing upper respiratory infections, from putting dirty hands straight in their mouths or eating with dirty hands. Upper respiratory infections are going to involve coughing, runny nose, and congestion. And those are the same bugs that can afterward travel to and infect the middle ear. You will know when kids catch this because they'll feel and complain of pain and swelling of the ear, poor hearing, trouble sleeping, and a fever. Sometimes clinicians can treat this infection right away with bacterial medicine known as antibiotics, if it is a bacteria that causes it. Or they may choose to wait it out and see if it clears on its own, which it usually does if a viral pathogen causes it. And currently, there is research showing both sides and whether families should save their money or treat this infection right away. But with this presentation, we're not going to let it get to that point. Many studies have shown that hand hygiene, like washing our hands properly and sanitizing our hands, have shown to reduce the spread of these bugs and stop children from being absent at school, and the overall reduction of needing to take these medications. A specific study that became published by the American Journal of Public Health shows that washing our hands reduces the number of infection by 45%. That's almost half. Now, it might be hard to imagine the importance of washing our hands when we cannot see germs. And this next exercise is good to show our kids, especially when they don't enjoy washing their hands or know the reasons why they have to. But it's even more important for guardians to visualize this because this happens on a daily basis in the classroom, daycare center, and summer camp facilities. This next demo was adopted from the maker of Purell hand sanitizer and shown by the Children's Museum of Indianapolis via YouTube. But before we get into it, just a visualization of what this learning activity will unfold. They're going to use glitter, soap, and clean hands. They're going to go ahead and wet their hands and use glitter to demonstrate germs. So now the hand that is full of glitter is going to represent a dirty hand, whether they've sneezed on it, touched a dirty object, or just haven't washed it in a long time. Now, because we generally don't see these germs, everyone's going to continue touching everything, thinking that their hands are clean and nothing bad is getting everywhere. But people around, or even this person's second hand, will touch the same objects that now have the germs on it. And we're going to see how easy it is for our hands to become contaminated without us knowing. So let's take a look at this demo.
You know, after all the science we've done today, it's nice to get this lab cleaned up.
Yeah, we probably got most of the germs off the table. So, what do you say, germ-free high five?
Yeah! Woo!
Actually, wait a minute. So, we haven't washed our hands yet, which means we may have just transferred germs to each other. Now, germs, you can't see them. They're little microbes like bacteria or viruses that can make you sick. But we do have a demo in the lab where we can visualize how germs might get transmitted from person to person.
Let's go do that!
Yeah, let's do it.
To the lab! We're in STEM Lab at the Children's Museum of Indianapolis. And today on Real Science, we are going to do an experiment called glitter germs.
And I'm going to pretend that I am very sick. I just don't
poor
feel
Don.
very good.
We want you to know that Don really isn't sick. He's just pretending for our experiment today.
Yeah,
You're a really good actor at being sick.
thank you. I have a lot of practice.
Before we get started, let's talk about disease transmission. When somebody is sick, if they have germs on their hands and they touch a surface, those germs get transferred from their hands to whatever they've touched. When somebody else comes along, their hands will pick up the germs and might make them sick.
So, the supplies we're gonna need today for glitter germs are very simple. You need glitter, and you're gonna need some baby oil, and you need a cup or a plate or something, just something to pick up. And that's what you need. Okay, I'm done with this. I'm gonna pretend. Stop pretending to be sick. Let's get our baby oil going here.
All right.
Okay, so this is so the germs have something to stick to.
So we're both going to rub baby oil into our hands.
Just front and back, get it all
right.
over. There we go. Now, the glitter is the germs, because glitter germs. And I'm going to sprinkle it here and just, look at that. I get sneezed in my hand or I coughed in my hand. I didn't wash my hand. And now the germs are just everywhere.
Oh, they're everywhere.
Yeah, that's what, you can't see real germs, but we can see the glitter. So,
sure can.
hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to
Hey,
meet
good
you,
to
Don.
Hey, give me a high five.
Oh, science. Yay,
That's really
high
cool.
five.
Hooray. Hey. Yeah, look at
Oh
your
my
hands.
gosh.
And look at the table. And it's just, the
They're-
germs are everywhere.
Everywhere. My
Hey,
hands are coated.
have a drink of water. That'll make you feel better.
That'll
right.
definitely
Okay,
make
there
me
you go.
feel
Okay.
better.
Yeah, okay. So drink, and let's look at that cup now.
Oh my gosh.
jeez. Okay.
It is just coated
So,
in germs.
now if somebody else came along and picked that cup up, they might get sick because glitter, like germs, it gets everywhere and it's hard to get rid of. Luckily, the same way you get rid of glitter is how you get rid of germs.
Hand washing.
So we're going to go over to our hand washing station and show you the most effective way to wash your hands and get those germs right off down the drain.
Let's go.
We're here at the hand washing station and we're going to demonstrate 2 ways to wash the germs off your hands. The wrong way and the right way. Add a little bit of soap, scrub a little bit, rinse my hands, and, well, I didn't do too well, did it?
I'm going to start by rinsing my hands with warm water. Then I'm going to add soap. And I'm going to make sure to scrub every surface of my hand. I'm going to get in between my fingers. I'm going to go up to my wrists. Make sure I scrub really well for at least 20 seconds. Now I'm going to rinse thoroughly with warm water again, making sure to rinse every part of my hands. And we're clean. If you think it's kind of boring to wash your hands, you can always sing a song like the ABCs while you wash your hands.
If you want to get really clean, I recommend Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. And we'll see you next time on
Real Science.
All right, so this video actually encompassed a lot of what this presentation is going to talk about later on as well. But the very first part of this learning activity is great to also pass on to your children. Maybe when the very first day of summer camp or the very first week to start off their school year, just so they know the importance of washing their hands. But you guys might be wondering, why is this important for me? I know how to wash my hands. Daycare and summer camp staff are super vital in the success of children washing their hands. With support from all of you and ensuring an effective technique, the bugs that cause these ear infections can be eradicated thanks to you. So, how should we all be washing our hands? As we all know, the Center of Disease Control, or the CDC by now, they have specific instructions on how to successfully wash our hands every time. So, is there a wrong way to do it? Yes, there actually is, like the video just showed us. We need to do it for at least 20 seconds. And then we need to hit all the necessary spots on our hands and our children's hands and ensure soap has reached all places that can harbor these bugs, because water alone is not enough. And lastly, washing hands and keeping them clean means surfaces that are touched will be cleaner, meaning less harmful bugs will be transported from the hands into children's mouths while doing various things throughout their day. And this is also a really good visual or flyer that you guys can go ahead and print and post all over your classroom and especially in the bathroom. It's super simple and it's just a bunch of visuals for kids to look at if they ever get confused on how to wash their hands. But in this presentation, we'll start by showing a hand and how many nooks and crannies there are that we might not think about. We know to wash at least the front and the back of our hands, but we need to pay particular attention to underneath our nails, between our fingers, and even down to our wrist. We forget that's a part of our hand that rests on a lot of surfaces. The CDC also says to make sure we interlace our fingers, rub our palms together, and rub the back of our hands at least 5 times if we choose to count that way. We should be washing our hands with a good brand of soap for about 20 seconds, like mentioned before. A literature search was conducted and found that using an innovative, entertaining approach to teach children about hand hygiene, repeating these lessons, and including caregivers and parents in this process was a cost-effective, sustainable intervention to improve this problem. With that being said, what can help us and the children to keep track of 20 seconds is singing a short song, like the first learning activity mentioned. This way, the kids will become engaged and we can ensure that they do it for 20 seconds. Now, most of us and most of the kids know that If You're Happy and You Know It song. So there's a version of this that we can always play for our children while they're washing their hands. And this is the second learning activity that you guys can take to your children. We can teach them to hum the tune if they can't even get the words down. But here's the lyrics on the screen. If you're happy and you know it, wash your hands. If you're happy and you know it, wash your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, wash your hands. Now, here's a quick demo that you can also show your children so they can visualize how to wash their hands.
Smile and learn.
Step 1. Wet your hands and apply soap. Step 2. Rub your palms together. Step 3. Rub the back of your hands with your palms. First the right one, and then the left one. Step 4. Interlock your fingers and rub your hands well. Step 5. Cup your fingers and rub your cupped palm with the opposite hand. Then swap. Step 6. Enclose your left hand with your right thumb and rub well. Then swap. Step 7. Rub the tip of your fingers over your left palm and then swap. This way, we clean away dirt that may have been left under your fingernails. Step 8. Rub around your wrist with the opposite hand. Then swap. Step 9. Rinse soap off your hands. Step 10, the last one. Dry your hands with a clean, dry towel.
Did you like the video? We have so many more. Subscribe by clicking on the seal.
All right, so by now we all know that germs are everywhere and come from all kinds of places, even if we cannot physically see them. They make our children sick with all sorts of symptoms, and whether it travels to the ears from the throat or lungs, or it starts out in the ears, it can easily start and collect on our hands. We need to get rid of them by washing our hands for at least 20 seconds with the help of an easy song and covering all parts of our hands with good quality soap. This way we can ensure our children are not missing any more school because of ear infections, and we can stop the trend of children getting this infection before their first birthday. It's important for us to learn how to properly wash our hands so we can support our children washing their hands in the daycare, classroom, or at summer camp, especially before they eat and after they play, because this condition does not have to be inevitable. Thank you guys so much for watching my Healthy People 2030 capstone presentation on reducing ear infections, and I hope together we can be healthier people.